Tears of the Kingdom literally just released with absolutely incredible reviews, leaving many people to wonder, should I buy a Switch in 2023? Or will Nintendo just release a brand new console in the next few months and you'll regret your decision deeply? So today we're going to cover if the Nintendo Switch is still worth it in 2023, and if it is, which one should you buy? At this point, the Nintendo Switch is actually over 6 years old, and it's starting to show its age a little bit. And I think a good way to show that is both indie games and AAA games companies have to take an extra couple of months to get the games to come to the Nintendo Switch. But even though it's over 6 years old, I still find myself playing my Nintendo Switch daily, and I still absolutely love it. I have a gaming PC, I have an Xbox, but the thing I pick up the most is my Switch. To me, nothing beats the versatility of being able to play something on the TV, and then when I decide I want to go upstairs and go to bed, I can take the same console with me and carry on exactly where I left off. But despite its age, buying a console this late on into its life cycle has a few benefits. Firstly, we just have the price of the Nintendo Switch. Compared to all the other current-gen gaming consoles, this is by far the cheapest. The only thing to really take into account is that the game prices on the Nintendo Switch don't really come down as much as the other two consoles. But as I said before, the nice thing about it being out so long is that you can borrow games from friends or family, or you can just go somewhere like CEX and get your games secondhand for a pretty decent price. Also, thanks to Zelda and the Tears of the Kingdom OLED, a lot of people like myself have been getting rid of our original OLEDs in favor of this one, so you might be able to pick one up secondhand for even cheaper. But to me, the biggest advantage of buying an older console is the immense games library that you get with it. So far, a whopping 6 Nintendo exclusive games have been nominated for Game of the Year, with Tears of the Kingdom most likely making a 7th for them. And that's not including the countless number of nominations other Nintendo exclusives have had in the other Game Awards categories. And personally, I found games like Breath of the Wild and Xenoblade Chronicles 3 to be some of my favorite games of all time. And the thing is, if you're buying the Nintendo Switch as one of your first ever game consoles, then it's not just the first-party games that you can play. It will also give you access to a plethora of other incredible indies, which arguably I'd say is actually the strength of the Nintendo Switch right now. In fact, this rise of cozy or casual gamers seems to be happening predominantly on the Nintendo Switch, with most life sims, farming sims, puzzle games all being ported to the Nintendo Switch, and most of them having their announcement at launch. And because the Nintendo Switch has sold over 100 million units, this means that developers have a good reason to at least try and get their games over onto the Switch as well. So that kind of covers all the games we've had on the Nintendo Switch. But what does the future hold now Tears of the Kingdom is finally out? Now, as always, there have been rumors circulating that there's going to be an announcement of a Switch 2 soon. And to be fair, this rumor has gone around all year, every year, for like the past 3 years. But the older the Switch gets, the more likely it is that we're going to get an announcement about a brand new console. But if you're worried about buying the Switch now, because you think another console is just around the corner, then don't worry. On the 9th of May, the Nintendo president announced that there is no plans for new hardware this financial year. So in other words, the absolute earliest we could expect an announcement from Nintendo about a new Switch is April 2024. But if we're being realistic, Nintendo will most likely release a console near the holiday times, so it's probably going to be even longer than that we actually see the console. And honestly, there's no guarantee we're going to even get a Switch 2. Nintendo love to innovate even when they don't need to, and there's a chance they're going to see this and do something completely different next. And in terms of upcoming games, the Nintendo Switch is apparently looking pretty good with that too, with Doug Bowser, the Nintendo of America president, describing the lineup as incredibly strong. And to be fair, I think he's right. Especially over the last 4 or so months, as the Nintendo Switch sales have been declining, I've heard it more and more that the Nintendo Switch is dead. However, I think Tears of the Kingdom kind of proved that that's not really the case, with 10 million copies being sold in 3 days. That is ridiculous. So I think it's safe to assume that we're most likely going to get some Zelda DLC at some point in the next year or so, but there's so much else coming out as well. For example, we know that in autumn we're going to be getting Pokemon DLC, and it's highly anticipated, but I don't think that's necessarily all for the right reasons. Fingers crossed they fix the game. Then next month we have the brand new Pikmin game coming, and there's also been very heavy rumors about a new Mario game announcement given the success of the Mario movie. And there's also been some pretty heavy rumors about a brand new Tamagotchi game as well. Which, go Google it if you haven't already. It was one of the best games on the 3DS, and I need it in my life. Beyond the big heavy hitters, there are also quite a few Switch games I am personally looking forward to. Like, for example, Fae Farm, which is another Switch exclusive coming later in 2023 that has a lot of hype surrounding it in the cozy community. And for good reason, it's literally a fairy farming sim. And even though these aren't Switch exclusives, I am genuinely looking forward to Miniko's Night Market and Go-Go Town, which are both releasing, as they're just perfect games to play in bed. And if that's still not enough games for you, then don't worry, there is a Nintendo Direct at least coming in September. There might be a smaller one in the summer as well. The last Nintendo Direct only covered titles from the first half of 2023, so we actually have no idea what Nintendo have planned for the holiday seasons this year and beyond. And they tend to have a few titles that might surprise us. Like, for example, we have no idea when Metroid Prime 4 is coming out, even though that's been teased for absolutely ages. And they're bound to have a few surprises up their sleeves as well. So I finally convinced you to get a Nintendo Switch in 2023, but which one should you buy? If money's an issue, then just disregard everything I'm going to say and buy whichever one you can afford. But if you do have the money and you're wondering which one is the best one to get, then the answer is the OLED. I think a lot of people assume that the Switch Lite is the console made for handheld, but actually it's most definitely not. The OLED model of the Nintendo Switch has a 7-inch OLED screen, instead of the 6.2-inch LCD screen of the regular Switch and the 5.5-inch LCD screen of the Lite. And in terms of sizing, the OLED itself is actually only about 1mm bigger than the original Nintendo Switch. So if money isn't really a problem and you're wondering if the OLED is worth splurging for, if you can see yourself playing in handheld at all, then I'd say most definitely. In terms of power, this is no more powerful than the original Switch or the Lite, so if you're only going to play it docked, you might as well just get the regular Switch. Just bear in mind, if you are going to buy the Nintendo Switch Lite, that it can't be docked, you can only play it in handheld. And if you do get the dreaded Joy-Con drift, you have to send in the entire Nintendo Switch Lite into Nintendo to get it repaired. Whereas if you get Joy-Con drift on a normal Switch or on the OLED, you can literally just take out the Joy-Con which is affected and just send that part to Nintendo. But this is just a reminder that Joy-Con drift hasn't explicitly been fixed, but the process of sending it back to Nintendo for them to fix it for you is completely free, albeit a little bit annoying. As you guys might have been able to tell, I love my Nintendo Switch, I love the games that are on it, and despite having multiple different ways to play games, this is the device that I game on the most. And I do feel like the chances of us getting a brand new Switch for Christmas 2024 is maybe a bit unlikely. I think in reality we might get it in 2025, personally. But then again, this is Nintendo, they love to surprise us. And in classic Nintendo fashion, we can't even be 100% sure that what they say to us is even true. Whether it's a Switch 2, Switch Pro, or something no one could have seen coming, there really is no way to predict what's in Nintendo's future. So if you like the look of it and you have the money, I'd say do it.